The Philippines and our journey to eventually visit the Philippines and learn the culture before we do, right? That's part of our journey is actually learning different things about it, the people, the culture, the food, and being able to be a good guest when we visit the Philippines. And a part of doing that is watching videos. The video we're going to watch today is called 10 Things You Shouldn't Do in the Philippines. Link to the original video down in the description below. Let me know what you think about anything I say. And this channel is a conversation, and I ask a lot of questions. I judge nobody on anyone's opinions on anything. So consider be a part of that conversation by subscribing. Anyway, let's get into it.
Participating in any protest during your stay in the Philippines. Arriving in Manila feels like Darwin's survival of the fittest. It's also important to note that Filipinos are quite indirect and will avoid giving an outright no at all costs. And not every Filipino can speak this language fluently. Hey, it's Mira Beauty. I'm your local tour guide.
You know, it's crazy. The one that she listed off the ones that she was like kind of hinting at in the video. The one that I thought was really interesting. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about it when we get there.
Who introduces you to Filipino culture. So if you like to learn more about the Philippines, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button so you'll be the first one to be notified to my next video. Today, I made a list of the 10 things that you shouldn't do in the Philippines from a Filipino perspective.
Now, let me know if any of these are accurate. Also, there will also be a link to the playlist of all the videos that we're watching that are Filipino related or the Philippines related. So you can go back and just watch those and listen to all of them if you want. Always in the description below.
This video is going to be helpful for those of you who plan on coming to the Philippines because it can help you mitigate the culture shock and the misunderstanding in terms of communication due to the culture differences. Without further ado, let's get into the first one.
Don't be offended if Filipinos look and laugh at you. I feel like, given it being an American, you get laughed at a lot internationally. So, uh, yeah, I'm just gonna be upfront about it. You know what I mean? So, but this is interesting.
When you see people look at you all the time wherever you go, do not be offended. When you see them laughing at you, do not be offended. It doesn't mean that they are making fun of you. In fact, they think you are amazing and cool. Most of the time, they were thinking, what is he doing here? What is she doing here? Why is there a beautiful person wandering around this small town? Especially when you try to do the things that Filipinos do, like ride a tricycle or a jeepney. Trust me, they look and laugh because it amazes them and they think you are cool and cute to want to get to experience the Filipino culture.
And that's kind of like what excites me, because not that I want people to be excited that I'm there, but I just want people to feel that I'm trying to appreciate a culture and a place and a people. And not that I need them to know that I appreciate them, but it's just nice to know that the Philippines and the Filipinos love that people appreciate them. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that correctly, but like in America, when people come here and appreciate the we do have culture, we do have a culture, we do have history, we have different things like that, but it's not very like celebrated when people participate all over the US. Like to give an example is grew up in Texas. When I lived in Texas, I didn't grow up in Texas, but I lived in Texas. And well, actually no, I think I did grow up in Texas. The Living in Texas, there were certain things like called a cowboy breakfast, where you wake up really, 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 really early and you go get breakfast. And it's usually like biscuits and gravy with some sausage, right? And then you wake up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And when I would go with my dad, we would sit there, eat breakfast, and it would be all these cowboys, right? And we just sitting there, middle of nowhere. And it was cool because it felt like whenever there was someone new that found out about it, it was like, dang, it's like, this is cool. People are, people know about this now. It's not some like super niche thing. And what's crazy is I watched a video from last year and now it's super big. Like, it's this huge thing. They had lines of people trying to get cowboy breakfast in my hometown. So it's like, it's pretty cool that it's all, yeah, I like when people celebrate my culture, and I want, I want to be, I want that same feeling for other people. I think because it just makes, if you're a good guest, I think that's a good way of showing that you're a good guest.
It makes them feel proud of their culture. Filipinos are very friendly, but they are very shy at the same time. If you approach a group of people, they would usually laugh and point at each other.
Are they shy? The Filipinos I know in my life, I guess they're American born, but they are not the shyest people in the. If anything, they are the opposite of shy. There's no way. Our okay. I'm gonna listen to her. I'm a believer on that. But I just feel like the Filipinos I know are just so energetic, smiley, bubbly, and like extroverted. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say this is the first one I don't believe, but I would have to see it for myself. Unless y'all want to let me know in the comments down below. I just feel I don't know. Maybe I'm just maybe this is the bias, right? I just my anecdotal experience with Filipinos here in the U.S. is very different. So I'm gonna have to see it to believe it. But let me know in the comments down below if this is true.
As to who's gonna speak to you. And if you mispronounce a Filipino word or a name of a place in the Philippines, they will try their best to understand what you are saying. And once they finally figured it out, the normal reaction would be they're gonna laugh. But do not be offended, because laughing at somebody's embarrassment in the Philippines is a way of helping make the situation light. So yeah, don't take it personally. Our sense of humor might not always fit yours. And as opposed to dry humor, Filipinos usually enjoy a more slapstick, situational, silly kind of humor.
And be honest, can I be honest? I love that type of humor much more. I just think people when you try to make things light here in the US, people would say that you never take anything serious. When you do, it's just sometimes, you want to make things lighter, not for yourself, but for other people, right? Um I'm super appreciative of that. So but I'm inserting here and commentating here because I know for a fact that there might be a lot of Americans who just don't like that type of humor. As through my experience with other Americans. So I appreciate it, but I can see it being an issue for other people.
So, in circumstance where a local imitates your accent, for example, and proceeds to laugh, this isn't a form of mockery, but simply a good-natured joke expressing amusement over something different. It might be annoying to some, but just remember, if ever, it's hardly done out of spite.
I get made fun of in the US for saying y'all. YALL. Y'all. When you're supposed to say you all. I say y'all. I get made fun of for that. Don't wear shoes in the house. I honestly think I'm just gonna say it up front. I think everybody should just do this. It should not be a culture thing. I don't know why, but a lot of cultures that do this, and I think it's fantastic. I wish more people in the U.S., regardless of culture, would do this. I do this. I don't like having my shoes in my house. Hell, I don't even like wearing shoes half the time.
When entering a house in the Philippines, it is rude to keep on your shoes. Just like in most Asian countries, it is normal to remove shoes and socks. You are expected to do so unless you are told otherwise. Taking your shoes off before entering a house is actually a sign of respect, and we find it very unhygienic walking with our shoes inside our homes. I think that's the biggest reason why. Because Filipinos clean their floors every single day. Every time they feel the floor dusty and dirty, they would always sweep the dirt off. Just imagine what kind of dirt do you step on with your shoes when you walk in the streets in the Philippines. But some
And then also, like, at first I was like, well, is it a sign of a respect thing? But then I was like, yeah, it actually is. But I wouldn't see it from like a cultural thing. I'd see it more personally. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm gonna give you a scenario, and you let me know if you would feel disrespected to your culture or would you feel disrespected to you personally. Because if let's say I'm the host, I'm the this is my house, right? I clean the house and it's all nice because I'm trying to get it ready for you, and I clean the floors and I want everything to look nice. Then you wear your muddy shoes all throughout my house. culturally, I would not be offended. I would be offended personally. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. But I still think like you still people should not wear their shoes in the house. Just um yeah.
Some people use slippers that are never used outside, and that is okay. But most of Filipinos walk inside their house barefoot. I'm one of those because I know the floor is clean as I mop it every single day with soap. So yeah, I can even lick it.
I don't know about that. But I wear socks usually cuz in Seattle it's a little bit colder. So I hate like I love the cold, but I hate cold feet. I hate my feet to be cold. So I wear socks or I have some slippers here, hold up, that I never wear outside. But most of the time it's just me barefoot. So it just depends on the mood. Um, but yeah. I think that's good habits.
It's that clean. I'm just kidding.
Gotta put that just kidding in there. I'm kidding. No, that's wholesome. Don't drive in Manila unless it's absolutely necessary. All right. I'm not gonna say anything for this part because I have something to say. This is the one I was kind of hinting at in the beginning of the video.
Instead of sharing the road, driving in Manila feels like Darwin's survival of the fittest. Not only is it a challenge maneuvering through the metro's complicated routes, but the difficulty has also upped a level by having to compete with the jeepneys that pull over without warning and the huge buses that swerve carelessly, expecting other motorists to automatically give way. The extreme road congestion and ceaseless rush hour traffic don't help much either. So unless you absolutely must, you'll be best off leaving the driving to your Grab driver.
So this is where, in the last Filipino video that I watched, which was talking about the cost of living, I saw that it was cheap to just take like what's basically y'all's version of Uber. But I was like, oh, I myself love driving because in America, that's what we do. Almost all of us drive. It's like a requirement as a citizen to have a car and drive or else jobs won't hire you. It's actually kind of crazy. Um, but I also enjoy it. And I think that when I was talking about it in my last video, um, some of you in the comments even hinted at like, oh, you might not be able to drive. Like this is something I would have to sacrifice if I were to, let's say, I'm for sure going to visit the Philippines, but let's say I stayed there for like a longer period, right? That's something I would have to sacrifice that I'm learning over, like I'm realizing, I guess, is that I as much as I love driving, I couldn't really drive like I used to because of how bad traffic is, and it's a lot more hectic. Um, you know, laws are a little bit different, right? Whereas in the US, it's a lot more comfortable to drive because you know the laws and you expect every single person to abide by them for the most part. So kind of interesting that that's one of the first things that I realized that I'm like, yeah, that's got to go, which sucks because I really like it. Expect everything to be donuts.
Sure, the Philippines is a much cheaper country than the US or many of those in Europe. But don't assume you're being cheated just because you're being charged a bit more than what you hoped for. I just want to remind you that there are things that are more expensive here than you thought, like cars, gadgets, like smartphones and computers, branded shoes, and also Philippines has one of the highest corporate tax rates in Southeast Asia, which can be one of the major factors why foreign investors prefer do business elsewhere instead of the Philippines.
So there was a comment too on the cost of living where it's like one of you pointed out that like if you wanted to just bring anything over, like regardless of what it was, it's going to be dramatically expensive, and even then it would take forever to get to you. So shout outs to, I don't know the comment specifically because I'm at the time of recording this video, but yes, that's one of the examples of why I always ask questions, because I get better insight for people that live there. Don't arrive on time. Is this a Mexican video? Because Mexicans do this. And I know I'm the idiot that shows up on time, I tell you.
Yeah, don't arrive on time, at least to casual gatherings. Filipinos are notorious for adhering to something called Filipino time. I'm sure you're familiar with that, which refers to anywhere from a 15-minute to an hour-long delay on the clock. So Filipino events will almost always start at least a few minutes late. Many are trying to get rid of this stereotype. Formal gatherings are much more likely to begin on schedule. But don't be surprised when your Filipino friends are only leaving their homes by the time you've gotten to your meeting place. Many of you experience this on your date or meeting a girl you met online. Some of you
Hold on. Two things. All right. So it's gonna be a little bit of a little chatting session. But two things. First thing, Mexicans do this. I gotta say, my parents have always they raised me to be like, you gotta show up on time, blah 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 blah. Even though we always had me showing up too early, and I always found it annoying. And I was like, you know what? I ended up showing up late to everything as I got older. But it's like I I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I don't think it's a bad thing. Is that weird to say? Let me know in the comments what you think. Should Filipinos change this? Hell, should Mexicans change this too? Sorry, I'm always burping because I'm always drinking stuff. The should they change this? Am I the only one that thinks like it's kind of okay? Am I the only one that thinks like it's all right to keep it? I don't know. Maybe I'm just I don't know. I don't know how to perceive that. But second thing, do y'all show up late to dates? Hold on. She said to a date to meeting somebody you met online. Do y'all show up late to dates? Let me find out. Oh, hell no. I ain't doing all that. All right. If I say we're going to a movie at 7:20, you better get your ass at that. You better be there at 7 so we can watch that movie at 7:20. I ain't gonna sit there in the theater by myself waiting for you. Hell no. Hell no. Nah, just kidding. I don't mean to get no. Hey, y'all don't I need someone to actually comment on this. All right. I don't need nobody play. Don't lie to me. All right. Don't give me no this or that. I want the real answer. Y'all showing up late to dates? Let me find out y'all doing that to each other. Let me find out y'all doing that to each other. That's crazy.
you stood them up because you are not willing to tolerate this kind of behavior, right? Although important meetings and important events begin on schedule. Filipino time just really applies usually on casual gatherings. Oh, and yeah, Tinder meetings.
I think that's crazy. No, y'all cannot. That's no. Let me find out y'all do that to each other. And if y'all and whoever we'll make it like a thread. Whoever comments first on this part, we have a discussion on it because I want to see. I want to see if it's true, and then I want to see how y'all feel about it. Okay, because I know y'all have. If it's true, I know y'all have something to say about it. Okay, that part's crazy to me. This part's crazy. Avoid confrontation and coming off too strong. Interesting.
Okay, Filipinos are very non-confrontational. I've mentioned this a lot in my previous vlogs already, and are rather timid when it comes to people they've just met. So, should a problem arise, try not to lose your temper and remain calm and pleasant. When meeting locals, be
I think that's just good practice and being a good guest. I think I'm just gonna say it here, regardless of what she says. I just think you should always be cool. Unless you're being like robbed or something like that, that's different, right? Like unless someone's committing a crime against you, I think that's different. But if there's like a misunderstanding or like some type of confrontation, I think it's always good to be patient and relaxed.
friendly, but avoid being cocky or intrusive. It's also important to note that Filipinos are quite indirect and will avoid giving an outright no at all costs, as they fear it could come off offensive. I know this might be a bit frustrating to foreigners, especially when trying to set up gathering or extending an invitation. But the Filipino way of saying no can come in the form of phrases like we'll see, or I'm not sure.
Well, I'm not sure is basically a no. Like that's even in the US. We'll see is also a no. Are people not taking no for an answer over there? If you told me those two here in the US as an American, or just anyone would tell me that, I'd be like, all right, I'm assuming that's a no. I just assume it's a no. Is this, are people just not taking no's for an answer over there? Just for anything? Are people getting offended when you tell them no for stuff? For anything? Interesting.
Or I'll try to make it, but if they say yes, I can come, I can attend, there's no problem. You can trust them with that.
To go back, the confrontation thing. I don't I do believe that, but do for the people that having issues with confrontations in the Philippines from foreigners, is it a predominantly Americans? I wouldn't be surprised nor offended if that was the case. But or is it like other countries that are the ones doing the confrontation and the not taking no for an answer? I'm very curious on that. Don't expect everyone to speak English, of course. Of
If you're
course.
surprised by the number of Filipinos who can express themselves smoothly and confidently in English, you shouldn't be surprised. After all, the Philippines was colonized by the US for almost 50 years, resulting in the English language being widely taught in schools around the country. That said, you shouldn't expect everyone to speak flawless English anywhere you go. While English may be the dominant language used for business, it's still not the mother tongue, and not every Filipino can speak this language fluently. You'll probably encounter more people who are having a hard time expressing themselves or explaining things to you. But don't worry, most Filipinos will try to help you find your way, even if they can hardly understand your accent or even if they can barely speak English.
I honestly think, like, I'm just gonna be honest on this one, guys. To have the expectation that everywhere you go, people are gonna speak English, I think that's just crazy. That's why I maybe me doing what I'm doing and like preparing to before visiting a country is very unique and different. I would feel like it shouldn't be, but that's part of like, for example, one of the things I'm gonna do is try to go to Poland. Um, I'm learning the language just to know. Like, I'm not gonna pretend to be an expert in the language. I'm not gonna be over here trying to like do some crazy long conversations. I just want to know enough to be able to navigate and be able to understand people. It's really just to understand people. I might not be able to talk and speak the proper way, but I really just want to understand what people are telling me. Just so that like if they tell me, "Hey, well, don't do this, do that." Um that's the same thing with the Philippines. Like and obviously the Philippines has tons of languages. I know that for sure. But it's just more of like just being able to have make by understanding it makes it easier on the host, the co-host country, right? Um, Also you enjoy it more because then you get to you have a better understanding of the sense of humor. And yeah, I just thought that I think maybe it's an American thing, but I think Americans need to do a better job of trying to be better guests. Don't understand the weather. Don't underestimate that weather. This one's for me personally. Here we go.
To be fair, neglecting to check the weather of the destination you're traveling to is a common travel mistake. Now, one of the biggest mistakes travelers make is that they assume that the entire country has the same weather. They couldn't be more wrong. Yes, in most areas, December to May is generally dry and sunny, but that's not true in certain popular destinations like Siargao or Sagada. Certain areas also have severe wet seasons that typically peak from July to September, while other areas are dry during those times. The fact that the weather is not a one size fits all deal is all the reason to keep tabs on how the weather will be when you arrive. It is not unusual for the weather to change multiple times in a day. It can be sunny in the morning but pouring in the afternoon.
I think that's fine. That's fine. That's good. I honestly like that variety, but I know it's a pain in the ass when it comes to like packing for trips and stuff. But what I want to do, like this is just me, and I mentioned this even in some of the other Poland videos. I like big cities and stuff like that, doing like the whole tourist stuff, and then even doing the non-tourist stuff in the big cities and like main popular hubs. But I'm a huge rural guy. I like going out to the countryside and just like having like somewhere I could stay for, I don't know, for like a day or two and just relaxing, take the air in and just hearing the local sounds and just being a part of, like, I'm not talking about like putting up a tent somewhere, but just being in the somewhere away from all the noise. And I think that's one of the things that maybe I want to start looking into and reacting to on this channel so I can have a better understanding of where I would want to go. But don't join any rallies. This is actually kind of interesting.
For your own safety, stay clear of participating in any protests during your stay in the Philippines. There was a press release. The Bureau of Immigration states that all foreign nationals are prohibited from participating in political rallies and mass demonstrations in the country. So, taking part in a political assembly or gathering, be it for or against the government, will be considered as meddling in our internal affairs as sovereign nation. So,
And just if you don't know, that's pretty illegal in most countries, to believe it or not. Because, say for example, let's just say a country has a protest and they're protesting the government. If I'm the enemy country that hates this country, I have a bunch of tourists there, and I tell them, "Hey, everybody, show up there and make." It's just, yeah, it's meddling. Like, things can go bad. Yeah, no, this is. Are people doing this? The fact that she has to mention this, I don't. Am I? I hope for the love of God, Americans aren't doing this. This would be insane. This would actually be insane. This would actually be really bad. This is bad if people are doing this. Because you're not. First of all, you shouldn't even be doing that. Like, if you're visiting and you're just trying to experience the culture and the history, you can do that without attending a rally and protesting. This is now I have like 99 questions thanks to this part. But yeah, interesting for sure.
So we caution against joining any protest in the country, or you risk getting blacklisted or deported.
Don't have a high expectation. What? Okay, this one's a little weird, but we'll go with it.
So you have to keep in mind that Philippines is not the paradise you were hoping for. At least half of it. Half of it is true, it's a paradise, but there are so much more that our government and our people has to improve. But I think that is the beauty of the world. The differences that we have makes the experience amazing. When you travel to the Philippines, don't get too shocked when you see how the traffic and transport system is, or when the weather's just so fluctuated, or if there is so much trash and it is not as clean as America or Thailand or Korea.
I'll tell you what, in some places America's dirty as hell, and it's usually like the ultra liberal cities. You go there, it's people's doing drugs on the streets. They're doing their fent stands where they're like standing like zombies and stuff, and there's trash everywhere, needles everywhere. So it's like, to expect everywhere to be perfect, it's crazy, I think. But also it's like, it's not, it's, how do I say this? It's not, you're a guest. So to judge, it's just, I don't know. I don't think it's worth judging other people like that. Like, how do I say, like, kind of what she says, every country has room to improve, and it is the beauty of the world. But as a guest who's visiting, if your sole purpose of visiting is just to critique the place, then you're not really there to embrace it, you know?
Philippines is still a developing country, and that's why I'm making YouTube videos to raise awareness and help visitors understand why it is the way it is in the Philippines. Just travel with an open mind and a warm heart, and you'll have the best travel experience when you come to the Philippines. Okay, so there you have it. Those are the 10 things you shouldn't do in the Philippines. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up, and don't forget to share this video to your friends. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye. List of the original video down in the description below. Let me know what you think about all this. Found it really interesting, very helpful. Sad that I'm coming to a realization that I will not be able to drive in the Philippines. It is something I will have to give up. I get it. It is what it is. Anyway, let me know what you think. Love you. Bye. This video is brought to you actually by viewers like you. Thank you so much for subscribing and being part of my journey and allowing me to be a part of yours. Let's create new memories this 2025 on our road to 1 million subscribers. And with all that jazz out of the way, I just want to say thank you so much. I love y'all and enjoy the video.